in Lagos, southwest of the country where we're broadcasting from. Something of a drizzle this morning that's kept everything cool, nice and cool. However, the polity is quite active. Just as we thought there wasn't too much going on in the polity, then the report came through of the vice president at the University of Ibadan delivering a speech, I think the Sigma Club, and he intentionally, unintentionally, I don't know, but he reignited the conversation on restructuring. This is against the backdrop, of course, of PDP candidate Atiku Abubakar saying that, look, within 6 months, we will see where we are in terms of the road to restructuring. It's been something that a lot of people have said we need to do. Was he taking the song, as it were? And was he now not just doing the words, was he also doing the chorus? Just in case, Vice President Oshibajo did say in his address that very, very few people can claim to be restructuring, pro-restructuring, as much as they are, that is he and his party. Reminded us all that when he was Attorney General in Lagos, at least a dozen times he was at the Supreme Court and on this whole matter, and that Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, at the time Vice President, was constantly, with his principal, former President Obasanjo, against the whole matter of restructuring. So where is it now coming from that you're singing this whole song of restructuring? Maybe it isn't your song. I don't know. But there we have it. The campaign season hasn't arrived yet. November 16 is the official date, but nevertheless, big men will throw one or two spats, and it's left to you to find if the definition of what they did falls into campaigning. But let's just leave that aside. Campaigning not allowed yet until the 16th of November, when the floodgates will be open. Okay, my guest this morning helped me, sort of aerate this issue. Mr. Ademola Adegoke is a public relations practitioner, but he's a current affairs analyst, and he's been a long-time writer on current affairs. Thank you very much, Mr. Adegoke, for coming on the program.
Good morning, Mr. Folani.
Indeed, and please call me Yori. And our friend, Chief Dr. Fasi Yusuf, lawyer and communications consultant. I leave out his chieftaincy title today. I bring it out now and again when I feel like it.
Ask Your Excellency, please.
Good morning, Fasi.
Good morning.
Great to have you on again.
Yes.
Let me start with Ademola, if I may.
Yeah.
The restructuring argument, do you think you can possibly hazard a guess as to who's in the right and who's in the right here? You know what I mean? With former Vice President Atiku Abubakar championing restructuring and that particular ball being slapped down that we have the ball.
Well, like you said, even though INEC has officially said that campaign starts on the 16th of November, but we know that everybody knows that this is vote shopping season. And, like they say, maybe they say all is fair in war.
But there's no war.
But it's not only in war.
I get you.
It's not only in war. Even in politics, sometimes all can be fair. So politicians will always come up with buzzwords, things that, can arouse voters' interest in this season of vote shopping. But the truth about restructuring, if you ask me, is that it does not belong to anybody to promise Nigerians the way, the system is presently. It's actually that the power to restructure, as far as I'm concerned, resides with the Nigerian people themselves.
Mm-hmm. And all the Nigerian people apparently, let me continue with that line of thought, would be that, so give us a path so we can say if we want it or not. That path perhaps hasn't been quite clearly discernible, I might suggest, Fasi. What's your take on this whole little quote-unquote spat?
Well, let me say this much. We are a country perpetually in a state of flux. The whole nation is confused as to the desirability, the meaning, the connotation, and the whole essence of restructuring. This issue arose since 15th of January 1966, when we moved from the People's Constitution, and the military hijacked governance, and ever since, this country has never been the same. And to worsen the matter, the 1999 Constitution, as presently constituted, is a fraud foisted on Nigeria and Nigerians, to the extent that we can never get anything restructured until that Constitution is changed to the People's Constitution. You see, anybody telling you that it's going to restructure Nigeria, perhaps that fellow does not know the meaning of restructuring, because it means something is bad and you want to make it better. You want to make it look good. And you want to make it good so that it can function properly. Something is not functioning well. The country is not functioning properly because the Constitution has made it so. And because some people are interested in the way the country is run at the moment, and therefore they don't want anything to move, and they can never move. Let's take, for example, we have 5 realms of 5 estates of the realm. The legislature has the power to amend the Constitution, but the legislature, because of inherent interest in the system, we never do it. For example, now we have
no matter who is the ruling party.
It's pretty difficult. Even the little one they attempted to do, have not even seen the light of the day. Look at the local government autonomy. What have we got out of it? And look at what they said about giving the judiciary autonomy. Up to this moment, hardly have you seen any state implementing it? Hardly. Maybe 1 or 2. To the extent that the judiciary, the second arm of, will continue to go cap in hand to beg the executive for one. And, once you have to be begging somebody for something, it means that person will dictate to you what to do. So, how do you amend the Constitution so that we can restructure this country? What are we talking about? Is it about resource control? Is it about federalism, fiscal federalism? Is it about local government creation? Or what have you?
Indeed.
All these are very monumental, and we don't, you see, politicians will continue to tell you what they think you should know or should hear.
What do you think you want to hear?
Because they know that is where they can chop, that's where they can get something out of it. So with the whole concept of restructuring has been bastardized, and we can borrow something from what the Vice President said over the weekend at the Sigma Club in Ibadan. Yes, he was at the Supreme Court 12 times, talking about local government. They tried to create 47 additional local governments, but they said it was incomplete until it received the nod of National Assembly. And the National Assembly will not do it because they know that it will affect revenue sharing formula.
Which is a key point. Yes. Indeed, as the Vice President had observed in his speech, there were 2 sides to it. One side was for restructuring and resource control. And by the way, that's another matter that Alhaji Atiku brought up. That, by the way, when you talk about restructuring, the average Nigerian doesn't know what the heck you're talking about. Different people have different notions. But back to the Vice President, he had said that this whole matter of restructuring, frequently when he was Attorney General, an incessant battle, that Alhaji Atiku was among those who were shooting it down all the while, but that the arguments led to this whole onshore, offshore law, so that Lagos was also now able to take, from its own resources, because it's a coastal state and all of that, after they had been refused the whole derivation principle. And by the way, the Vice President said that there were 2 sides to it. On the one side, there were those who wanted restructuring because it would give them resource control, and there were those who didn't want it because they wanted to share in resources that they didn't have any of. So there's all of that. All of these ping pong balls going up in the air, it does make it a bit difficult. But that whole point that Atiku Abubakar made, that the average people doesn't even know what you mean when you're talking about restructuring. Evaluate that. Okay,
for me, if you are practicing a system, you look at how that system is practiced elsewhere, and you now gauge, the conformity of your own system, the conformity or adherence of your own system to how it's done.
Although you can't always copy lock, stock, and barrel.
Yeah. But you see, but there must be some key elements.
Yeah.
You understand? There must be, a common thread that we run through. If through your system, for it to have semblance with what is done elsewhere. So we ask. Fassi said, he mentioned, he started from our point of deviation from the norm of what a federal state should be. And we ask for us to understand, like you said, maybe the common man does not understand what restructuring is all about.
Atiku Abubakar.
Atiku Abubakar. We will, for people to understand, let us go back to how it was done in the past, pre-1966. There were regions.
By the way, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar takes credit for being among those that have given us the geopolitical zones that everybody is enjoying today. That last part I'm putting in quotes because they were his words by his spokesman. That every Nigerian is enjoying today as sort of a work in progress, that he's among those who came up with it, along with the later Kweme and
the National Conference.
And that you can go, and the records are, as he put it, in the office of the Secretary to the Federal Government. I'm just saying.
But what has that really done? What has that really done to the polity? What has that really done to the polity? Because if you look at it...
Atiku means would like it to mean that you can see my bent. You can see the kind of character I have.
Well, like I was saying, let's look at how, the system was pre-1966 and how it has been, since the 1966 coup. Pre-1966, there was pre-January 15, 1966. There were regions, and each region was semi-autonomous. In fact, they had their own foreign missions. They had ministers in the regions, and because of that, there was healthy rivalry among the regions, such that whatever even without oil, the West was able to come up with University of Ife, Cocoa House, the Nigerian television station in Ibadan, first, the Liberty Stadium, without oil, because they enjoyed some level of autonomy. So that was the system. But after 1966 coup, because of the command structure of the military, the command structure of the military does not permit someone, the head, to be at the center, and then the governors in the component units to also be exercising their own authority.
I hear you,
different from that of...
What you're doing now is explaining it to us, what it used to be.
What it used to be. But for us to understand what it is.
Yes.
Now.
But if Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the PDP candidate, is saying, and you've said that, in fact, both you gentlemen have said that whoever is telling you that he can bring restructuring to you, it's doubtful how well versed he is with all the facts surrounding it and all the things that need to be done. But if Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is using that as it's surely
as a bait for me.
Okay, so sort of the equivalent of clickbait. the equivalent. Well, if he is saying that, I wonder because surely. As exalted as he is, he's been vice president, he knows the law. I'm not saying he's a lawyer. But if you've had the services of legal advisors, so he must have done his research.
Let me tell you, you see, we have been deceived the way politicians will always deceive us. When you want to restructure, are you in control of the National Assembly?
Thank you.
Are you in control of the 36 states of the Federation?
Houses of Assembly.
Because you need at least 2/3 of the various states.
But if a leader is sufficiently charismatic to bring all those divergent interests...
The little I've known about this country in my 60+ years in this country, I know that primordial sentiments will override any action you want to take.
Okay.
Look, for example, since 1914, with the amalgamation of Southern and Northern protectorates, this country has been run in such a way that a particular part of the country, we continue to superintend over others, notwithstanding the contribution or not contribution to the nation's economy. And
which part of the country?
I'm not going to say that.
So you're talking about the North?
I'm not going to say that.
I know you didn't say that.
No, I'm not finished. I'm not finished.
You never said anything.
I'm not finished. Listen. Let's take the case of state creation.
Mm-hmm.
You have how many states in the North? You have 17 in the South, and you have how many? 19.
19.
In the North, plus FCT. And a revenue sharing formula is based on this number of states. And don't forget, a particular state in the North has been broken into 3. And a particular state in the North has more than 50 local governments with less population than Lagos.
And that's Kano.
Sokoto has been broken into
Kebbi, Zamfara.
Thank you.
But let's not go into all that. But we are just tell the truth to those in government. Listen, how do not get, when they have, if I have my way, the first thing I will do is scrap the House of Rep. Because that's the beginning of that problem. If every state produces 3 senators, you now know that, look, 108 plus FCT, 109 senators.
It's a manageable number.
But now, with the House of Rep, you have about 400. Over 250 in the North. How do you expect any restructuring to take place when it comes to voting and you require 2/3 majority?
Okay, now this is the rub.
If your political party,
Alhaji Atiku Abubakar,
excuse me,
who is from the North, now says, I am championing this.
Excuse me, Yori. Look, yes, is the president saying it? Yes. But the point is, can he really get his people to whittle down their power? Or for them to say that, look, we are relinquishing this thing, and therefore we are getting less money for the federation account.
That seems straightforward enough. I mean, when you look at, because we often hear,
how is he going to convince them? For example, people from Kano,
yes,
people from other parts of the North, having a lot of people in the House of Rep, to convince them to toe the line.
So it's sort of clickbait.
And
it's almost like clickbait.
Is he even sure that he's going to get the majority?
Majority? No,
legislators. Even if he gets them, is he going to be able to convince them to toe the line? It's not possible.
Okay, you did speak about primordial state sentiment.
Yes.
Because I thank God you said that, because there are times when those divides sort of collapse, and then you find, for instance, Alhaji Atiku himself saying that I will champion this particular. You've shot holes in it. You've shot holes in it.
Listen. Good luck, Billy Jonathan.
Oh, I was going to, you just took the wind off my sail.
He tried it. What came out of it?
National confab. What
came out of it? Obasanjo tried it, but Obasanjo allowed his short-term agenda to overwhelm that conference.
Okay.
And therefore nothing was achieved.
Somebody wants to join the conversation from home. Good morning, Mr. George.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and good morning to your guests.
Thank you for calling in.
Uncle Yori, this whole question of restructuring debate is just a gimmick, a bait to win votes. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar was vice president for 8 years. During that 8 years of his reign, we never heard him speak about restructuring. For him, the structure of Nigeria was good at that time. Nothing was wrong with it. It is now that he wants votes from people, and he wants to throw that bait, knowing very well that there are some who are saying there's something wrong with our structure. I have said it before, Uncle Yori, and I'm still saying it again, that it is a case of a bad workman blaming his tools. Our structure is not our problem. Our problem is corruption and bad governance. We are all often referring to Constitution that it was a fraud, it was thrown at us. Whoever drafted that Constitution, whether he was a soldier or he was in Agbada, is a Nigerian. That Constitution that we are now saying is a fraud, there was a Constituent Assembly that wrote it. Those people did not come from the moon, they are Nigerians. So the structure is not the problem. The problem is the people, the operators of the structure.
Even, Mr.
Let me
George.
give you one classical example on theory.
Okay.
People are saying that local government needs autonomy. If, for example, now as it is now, the governors of states have access to the local government money, and they are the ones that pass it over to local government. If you now make it direct allocation to local government, is that likely to remove the corruption and the stealing of the public funds? You are only transferring the stealing from one group of people to the other.
Okay, Mr. George.
What is
Okay.
important to the average Nigerian is when money is allocated for a project, does it go there? Does the project succeed? Do people not, don't they steal the money?
In line, Mr. George, in line with the things you're saying, I think you're also on record, if I remember correctly, as saying that, look, the Constitution is not that much our problem.
The Constitution is not the problem, Uncle Yori.
Okay.
Britain doesn't have a written Constitution, but things are working there. Governance is going on there. And they don't have the kind of corruption problem that we have in our country.
Okay,
so
then.
the Constitution is, from time to time, you probably need to make some amendments, but that is not the problem.
All right.
All the structures.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. Appreciate you. You wanted to come in, but I had to go home. And, well, now that you've heard what you've heard, how far does this differ from your take on the issue?
Well,
because he's saying, I think essentially in a one-liner, he's saying that it's a whole deceit.
Deceit, yeah. To that extent, I think his position syncs with mine. It meshes so well with mine. But then I have some points of divergence from his position. To say that the system, as it is presently, that nothing is wrong with it, I want to differ from that position. The system.
I don't think he went as far.
No, he said
that much that was not wrong with the Constitution.
He said that much that the problem is not with our
because
Constitution.
everybody knows that we have our problems. But he's saying you can lay these problems at the doorstep of corruption, greed, and everything.
We will come to that. You see, maybe when we talk of the issue of restructuring, I think there are basically three schools of thought. One, there is this school of thought that believes that the system as it is now needs restructuring. It needs to be, it needs overhauling.
It's not working, yeah.
It's not working. There are people that say, no, nothing is wrong with the system. It is,
It's the people.
It's the people.
That won't operate it properly.
And there are people that, those maybe you call those ones the hawks, who are even saying, see, the union itself is not working.
All right.
There are even people that are saying that even the union is not working. So maybe we have to part ways. That may be too extremist a position to take.
Okay, let me bring Femi in Surulere. Good morning, Femi.
Good morning, Uncle Yori, and to your guests too.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, what I want to say is that when you are saying restructuring, Atiku is coming up with restructuring. How is he going to achieve it? Is it by military fiat?
Happy?
Yeah, is it by military fiat? It's not by military fiat. You have to go to the assembly. Look at the decision of only local government in Lagos State. To get it passed through the National Assembly, it's not going through. Now I want you to look at it. Let us cut off the north.
Yeah.
And the northern legislators. Let us take the southern legislators in the National Assembly. Bring the issue of 50% derivation and 50% to the federal. Let us see how the vote will go. I'm not even talking of the north. Let's talk about the southern legislators in the National Assembly and look at how it's going to go, not to talk of adding the northern vote. So the structure we have on the ground, I know is very, very good. Very, very good. The only thing, the people, we are looking at the time of our go. What are the crops of leaders there? What are the crops of leaders we have? The leaders we have now, too much personal instead of the collective interest of the state. That is where the problem is. There is not even, I live in the north for almost 30 years. 65 million naira for my local government. If it's handed over to me, I will deliver to them. And I think the north was, we were producing cotton, as at the time of now, a child of 20 years in the north doesn't know what a cotton tree looks like. If we are ready to work for our people, the structure we have now can take care of us very well.
All right, then. Thank you very much, Femi. I've got to let go of, so as to, allow room for other people. Interesting. I wonder if Alhaji Atiku is watching, or some of his handlers, or, anybody, because so far, what we're hearing is that it's undoable because nobody can do anything by fiat. You've got to carry so many divergent interests along. And since you can't do it by military fiat, but as I keep on returning to the point, Atiku Abubakar apparently must know what he's doing to make statements like that, because he knows Nigerians are not dummies and that they will subject whatever is said to acid tests, and this is what we're looking at now.
Excuse me, Yori. Politicians have a way of going about looking for votes here and there.
From the gullible.
And as we are saying, this is the season that they are trying to reach us, and they are trying to see whether they could work on our psyche. And therefore, whatever they tell us, because this is what you want to hear, and therefore they should tell us. But I'm saying that I've looked at the modality, the operationalization of this concept, how feasible it is. I'm not saying it's not possible, it is possible.
Yes.
But then, what is the strategy to adopt? Is he going to convince the National Assembly, look, okay, dislodge your interests and not the rest. Let us think about this country.
Okay.
Let us go back to pre-January 1966. Or let us go back to resource control. Or let us go back to regional system of government, the way it was before the military incursion into the polity. Or are we going to do it? You just say restructuring.
No, but
Pastor said he was going to do it by having what did he call it then? Was it Constitutional Assembly that metamorphosed into third-term agenda that was shut down. Now, Goodluck Jonathan said yes,
National confab.
National confab. Nothing was done.
All right.
Now we are hearing this again.
Yeah.
How is it going to be done? Because I've said it.
Well,
Look,
the man has said that
for
most
also-
Nigerians don't understand it, so he must understand it.
I said, okay, let me tell us.
That's the point. He must understand what is meant by restructuring. But excuse me,
So
sir.
others don't understand. He's the only one that understands.
Apparently. Yakub, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Shifori.
Thank you for calling.
And Dr. Fazi and the other guests in the studio. Good
Mr.
morning,
Adegoke.
sir. Mr. Adegoke, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
You see, Shifori, let's tell ourselves the truth. The restructuring of the thing that the Atiku Abubakar is talking about, I can tell you, it's a political issue. It's a political statement. It's going to be very, very difficult for him to restructure this country. He has a lot of obstacles. Number one obstacle is National Assembly. Let me just give you one typical example, Shifori. Do you know when they started the Constitution Amendment? When these people got to a station whereby devolution of power need to vote on, what are they doing? They vote it down. Because they know that if they can be able to devolution power in that constitutional amendment, the state and the local government will have access directly to their money. A station whereby state can generate light on its own and distribute it to the people that live in that state and residents of the state. And then when they got to that very particular point to give us devolution of power, these people voted against it. Now they are not telling us that they will revisit that very particular clause. Up to today, they were not revisiting anything. What really happened is this. A station whereby if you call that you want to restructure this country, let Abubakar come out to tell us how do you go to go about it? How do you go to achieve what you are telling Nigerians? Not because when you get to the power, it's going to be very, very difficult, and then you tell us another thing. Because
You know what, Yakub, as I said, Alhaji Atiku just might be listening, or some of his handlers might be listening. Maybe they'll favor us with a call and, explain this thing to us. I got to rush off to a break. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. To arrive at the situation that he is canvassing and promising. In fact, there are those who are saying it's political deceit and is being put out there for no more than political reasons. And as I was saying, November 16 has not yet come, but still, in the sense that nobody captioned it, that. As opposed, technically, by definition, we haven't started. But it is something we've been talking about. Now we're in the vote season, vote baiting season. We hear that this thing that most Nigerians have wanted, and by the way, I was among those who gave us the regional one, that whole southwest, northeast, and all that one. Everybody's enjoying it. Me and some other colleagues, some of blessed memory. It's in the office of the SGF if anybody wants to see it. I am there. You can't remove it from public records.
I would like to see it, and I would like to read it up.
Okay, so because he was sort of citing his credentials.
Because what we were told was that it was a Kwame, Professor Wabwese, and the rest that
He said he was among. But yes, that remains to be seen. Because all of this is probably in answer, maybe he was thinking that the question would come that, what were you doing for 8 years when you were VP? And as Vice President Oshibajo said, your administration shut it down. You were a key player in that administration. Where is this newfound love for restructuring coming from? But again, Alhaji Atiku has kept something that people don't understand it. They don't understand what restructuring really means. So that maybe when it comes out fully, he'll, one, tell us what restructuring means to him, and then two, how he's going to achieve it.
The modus operandi.
Yes, the MO.
For me, if you are saying something and people seem to be at sea.
Aliu in Minna, Niger State. Okay. I beg your pardon.
Okay.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Iori.
Thank you very much for calling in.
Please, I want to contribute on this issue of a system. You see, Mr. Iori, let's put our eggs in one basket. We have our people, and we have a design system, and in this system there is something we call constitution. We are the people that put this very constitution. When our people are employed to work for Nigerians, you realize that there are shortcomings in that very system. Our job is to fix that very system. Because you cannot say every day it is after something happened, that is when you will come back and say you will fix the system. Our people will be working in the system. They will find out there is problem in the system. Instead of them to fix the system, no. They will use that opportunity and use that very loopholes that they have seen there and loot from the system. That is what our people are doing. And coming from the angle of how generally human beings behave, let me give you an example of what happens in Libya. These people are living good. Every sector is almost better, and everything is going well for them. But what did the people do? They say they hate the face of the man that is giving them that good life. Do you see how people are behaving? So the truth of the matter is that all these things that we are talking about concerning the system to restructure, restructuring only means when the food is on the table of each and every Nigerian to feed. That is just restructuring. If your restructuring is that, my restructuring is not that. So according to me, if Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is saying that he will get restructuring done, I will say his restructuring is getting that very power. Because he's trying to say something that Nigerians will just queue into without any basis of how he is going to achieve that.
Okay.
So the truth of the matter is that Professor Yemi Oshibajo is right. Let's give Nigerians what they want.
Okay.
Let's make Nigeria work. If there is food on our table, nobody is going to say restructuring.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I give you example of Libya is when it gets better, then people tend to behave abnormally again. But let's get it better first.
Okay.
If we get this system right, people get what they want. Nobody will tell us about restructuring. But when the going is not better, people will be speaking politics.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Aliu, for calling in. As far as Aliu is concerned, restructuring to Alhaji Atiku Abubakar means getting power, restructuring himself into power. That's the way Aliu looks at it. That is not the way I imagine Atiku Abubakar is thinking about it. But hey, we take all sorts of comments. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see because just about nobody has said he sees a clear road for Alhaji Atiku Abubakar to achieve that which he is promising. In fact, people are saying, on the contrary, he cannot deliver. If you cannot deliver, why are you putting it out there? But then again, there have been, Fassi has suggested that politicians will try anything. They will actually try anything. Maybe flying a kite? Is
Not
this in the nature
necessarily
of-
flying a kite. You know, the mission is to be able to access power. And perhaps when he gets there, he sees the reality, or perhaps he already knows the reality. But then the important thing is, Machiavellian theory. The end justify the means.
You know, that might just happen because remember, even when Buhari got into power,
Yes.
having arrived on the crusade of corruption and change, I think Alhaji Lai Mohammed, speaking for him, was then to say to us that we were thinking of clearing out the audience stable. We never knew it was audience stable.
Well, how we ask
So that's why we've
Nigerians-
taken 6 months to arrive at a bunch of ministers, and generally they got the reputation of being too slow. That was the kind of...
Not knowing how to fix the leadership of the National Assembly.
Exactly, all of that.
It was the first mistake.
So you're saying that Alhaji Atiku might arrive if his voters allow him, if people who vote for him indeed so decree, and then he'll find out that it's not doable.
Nigerians want the nation to be restructured. So it's the sing song. So if that's the catchphrase that will make you to win the election, why don't you use it?
For
But
me-
then, to me, it's a fraudulent act.
Let me come to you soon, immediately after Eyi, who is calling in from the VI, Ademola. Good morning, Eyi.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for calling in.
Uncle Yori, I really commend your efforts. You are doing well, and the people with you here, they are all doing fine.
Okay.
But I believe most of the time you invite these guests because we know they know one or two things that they need to sell out to the public. Restructuring, in the sense, is something that we lack, and it's something that really caused a lot of setback for Nigerians. Restructuring will help us monitor most things. The corruption will not be at top as this, that will condemn every Nigerian man not to be able to do anything, that will cripple the common man. I hope you are getting me. Then, your guest, what I expect of them is not article in person now. Article will be chosen by a political party. If he is preaching restructuring, we should explain it to the public so that anybody sitting down there should explain what restructuring really means. So it's not the choice of Nigeria, the voters, to say, okay, this is what we are going to do for all. We all agree that anybody that is coming in, we must hold him accountable to what he promised before he takes a seat. So we should explain it to everybody. There is no common Nigeria, there is no single Nigeria who is not feeling the problems of Nigeria. And this problem has been there. So if we decide to restructure the system, we all should kill him and start preaching that thing in the real sense. Maybe article instead might not even understand. By so doing, in this your platform, might help the man to also know what he's taking upon himself, and he will work it out for the people to praise him. Nobody is coming back there to be fooled again. This is the truth. Anybody that is coming right now to be able to make Nigeria happy.
All right, then. Thank you very much,
Yori,
Eyi.
let me quickly react to what is
Very briefly, please.
Yeah, very briefly. We are not only analyzing, we are also providing solutions. First of all, I said here that look, the first thing, let's get rid of the House of Representatives. I said that here. Two, I said let us change the constitution to the people's constitution, the constitution that will serve our purpose. I mean, we are not just pontificating here.
Indeed.
We are providing solutions.
Yes, it's all right. And Aliu did say, calling in from Mina, that put it on everybody's table. And restructuring must mean to me what it means to you, what it means to you. Otherwise, we're going to have a problem.
No, the last caller was saying that we did not explain to Nigerians what restructuring actually means. I think we did that from the beginning.
Well, there are aspects, aren't there? And you can hardly do it in one sentence.
Yes, and because we talked about the deviation from how it was.
From the norm.
So we talked about that. One thing that I expect Nigerians to request of anybody preaching restructuring,
or promising anything, to come and tell us how he will deliver.
It goes beyond sloganeering.
By the way, how he or she will deliver.
I will want, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar should please share his blueprint on restructuring.
Okay.
He has to also do, maybe a comparative analysis of the Nigerian federalist states, with what obtains in other climes.
And until that time, you're not buying it. Until that time, you're not buying it.
I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. For example,
I got to bring in Divine, who is waiting on the line now.
Okay,
I beg your pardon. Good morning, Divine.
Yes, good morning. Chief Onkuyori. Onkuyori, it's like I will begin to remove this my chief title that I've given to you, but it's like you are playing internal politics. Your party APC has failed us. Just agree, accept that, and you are indirectly promoting the APC in this your anchoring program. But notwithstanding, let me go to the point.
So you are derobed.
The issue of restructuring.
I shall hold my peace.
Yes, the issue
so as
of
not to distract us.
I will keep on saying it. And again, first and foremost, I will still say it for emphasis purpose. Unless we amend our constitution, unless we bring our own constitution, not the constitution that was opposed by the military or by some certain people which we don't even know them outside this country. But the issue of restructuring, I still believe that one can make a change. If the vice president said that he's an anchor of restructuring while he was still at the Lagos State or in the Supreme Court, but when he get to the office, he was not he was not even trying to play it. He's number one.
Wait a minute. He explained that Lagos State lost at the Supreme Court. But then the argument continued, and that led to the whole onshore-offshore law system, so that Lagos is now benefiting. He said clearly that Lagos lost.
Yes. Now, in as much as that he's in government, he could have carried that into the government, to the federal level. But when he got to this government, he kept silent. Then I just said, the APC promised will change. But when they get to it, they change the promise. But I just want to say that
I trust you, Divine. I trust you.
We should give Atiku the chance.
All right. Indeed. Thank you very much. I appreciate your call. And I trust you. I knew you were going to end the way you ended. Thank you very much for contributing.
I want to say something. I don't want people to misconstrue our position here as being opposed to restructuring. That restructuring is desirable is not in contest.
But it's doability.
It is the doability. The feasibility of implementing it the way, it's being preached now. So the country needs restructuring.
We're not all agreed.
The obstacle there is monumental.
Okay.
It is something that it would be easier for a camel
to pass through the eye of a needle.
Of the needle. That for us to be able to amend, because the constitution is the most rigid constitution I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
So in effect, what you gentlemen are saying is that Alhaji Atiku cannot genuinely and sincerely be talking about restructuring.
As presently constituted.
But it's a desirable one.
It is desirable. I mean, not that about it.
But he can't deliver it.
Look, restructuring, as I said,
I
in the beginning, I said the meaning of restructuring is for us to depart for something that is not working, to move towards something that will be beneficial to all concerned. And that is the rotary forward test. But the way the constitution has been made is making it impossible.
Okay.
The little things the National Assembly has tried to do, they've not been able to see the light of the day.
Okay, let me bring in Mazi Okoroafo. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Yori. Good morning, our guests in the studio. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Honestly speaking, sir, Yori, the restructuring is long overdue in this country. Now, what I mean by the restructuring is long overdue, because if the money we use in this national conference, we use it in doing referendum in this country, it could have helped us. At least by now, Nigeria could have known whether social percentage are ready for restructuring or not. Now, you ask yourself, for people we are talking about restructuring, it's very, very necessary, because other countries that did their referendum, we saw what happened. Sudan did their own. Now they have settled their case. Nobody's talking about face reality. If Nigeria to restructure, I would suggest let them make at least between 7 to 10 states in this country. At least there will be a central government that everybody carry their resources, everybody that side. Now it will help us. Now what do you say about this restructuring? I know some people will not agree, but the young boys will be talking about the youth. They'll start saying, what do they mean by restructuring? But the elder in Nigeria will tell you yes. Now you ask yourself, Sayori, after the Civil War, there's what they call abandoned property. My father owns 102 White House Street, Calabar, in the Calabar, and we have some properties in River State. Up to today, we don't have access to that city, and that one is gone. And nobody to tell that if there was a restructuring, all this issue would not happen. Not only in Calabar, even in Bayelsa State. Now you ask, how do we do? This is the assets and assets your fathers left for you in Cross River State because of the civil war. And look at what is happening.
Mazi Okorafor, you say restructuring is long overdue. Do you think it is doable the way everything stands now politically?
Yeah. Yes? Hello? Are you with me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Is
Everything is said. Look, we are not in short of this politics of...
Okay, I didn't quite get, I don't know how he wanted to decide. Because I wanted to know that, since he started out by saying that it is long overdue, but he's also seemed to be paying attention to some of the obstacles.
I wanted to know. My worry is this. Yes, everybody, in fact, if you ask anybody,
they will say
in Karada Moda,
yes,
in Maiduguri, we want restructuring. But how are we going to achieve restructuring?
Because the way things are currently configured, it's not easily doable.
We can only go about restructuring through constitutional amendment or constitutional review or what have you. Because, I mean, look at what the Vice President said. He went to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
But Supreme Court based its judgment on the provisions in the Constitution. So if the Constitution is saying this way, and we don't even have...
And you've explained that...
And there's no judicial activism.
Yes.
Presently in Nigeria now, the days of judicial activism is gone because there's nobody to say, look, this Constitution is a worthless document and to declare it null and void. People, get yourself another constitution.
No, we don't have that.
So if you cannot have that, then how do you get it done?
Indeed, that's the question.
And they were saying that the unity of this country is not negotiable.
Comrade
so how are we going to go?
Comrade Ayo in Oshogbo, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to your guest in the studio, dear.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
You see, Uncle Yori, each time listening to politicians, I laugh. They always want to play on the psyche of Nigerians. Because people are agitating now that this country should be structured. You see politicians coming out and said, yes, they believe in it. These are people who have been in power once, who have never done anything about restructuring this country. And each time I ask, what do we really want to restructure? What is restructuring? The answer I get is just laughable. They said, since the Southeast has 5 states, we should add 1 state to the Southeast and do this and do that. I said, the current system we are operating, are we sincerely and genuinely operating this system? Because if we are sincerely and genuinely operating this system, most of our problems by now would have been solved. Honestly, yes, the Constitution may be faulty, but if we sincerely operate the Constitution, most of the problems we won't even have it. We'll be talking about other things.
Okay.
See,
Indeed.
As it stands now, Uncle Yori, Nigerians, the ordinary Nigerians, don't believe in all this grammar of restructuring and all this. What Nigeria wants is good governance. What Nigeria wants is somebody that will come into governance and not loot this treasury.
Okay.
See, let me tell you, Uncle Yori, Nigerians, the people I have spoken to, we want to send a signal this time around that even if you have the best of ideas, even if you have the best of the best, you have the best for us. In as much as you looted our treasury once, we will reject you at the post. That is the message Nigeria are going to send in 2019 election.
Thank you very much for calling in. And some of the things you said in there coincide with our other regular viewer, Mr. George, who has said that in his opinion, there's very little that's wrong with our system, so-called. It's the honesty of purpose. It's the selflessness with which to work it that is lacking. That if everybody were of one mind, doing the right thing, doing the honest thing, doing the uncorrupt thing, doing the non-parochial thing, that we don't have a problem.
For me, if anybody will want to do anything, that is why I say I want to differ from that position of, yes, this system is perfect. I'm not. It's not perfect. I want to differ.
Nothing is perfect.
Differ from
Only
that
God
position.
is perfect.
So, if anybody may want to do anything, but if the system does not permit him, he has no choice than to fall in line.
So the quandary right now is, how is Alhaji Atiku Abubakar gonna do this?
No.
How is he gonna do it? Nobody can see how it can be done.
Let me, sorry, sir. You see, people are saying that nothing is wrong with this system. That it is, we just need to, there should be the operators, a culture change. Yes, a culture change. But then, you see, this is the issue. The present system promotes all that you can think of that is wrong with the country. I give you an example.
Anything goes, almost. Anything goes, almost. I've got to bring in Reverend Dominic, and because we're really at the end of the program.
For the second time?
No, Reverend Dominic.
Yeah, okay.
No, first time today. Good morning, Reverend Dominic. This is your first time today, confirm. Is this your second time?
Hello?
Good morning.
Good morning. Let me go on. The network is going on and off.
Quickly, go along, please.
Okay, let me go straight to the issue. Will Atiku Abubakar do the restructuring of the governor of Bayelsa? The governor of Bayelsa is advocating that they take all their oil, all their money, and pay tax to the federal government. Will a man from the quadrant do that kind of restructuring? To our brothers in the West here is to reverse back to the 60s, where they could go work and they pay tax to the center. Will a man from the North to do that? We are playing to the gallery. The problem in Nigeria is not restructuring, it's bad governance. My friend there is laughing, the one on the shot. He have had my voice before. I have a 21-page about restructuring. If we restructure this nation and give this nation to a man like Rochas of Kosh of Imo State, what will he make out of it? How many restructuring changed Anambra State? Anambra, the time of recession, Anambra was not in recession. They paid their bill. If you go to Anambra today, you will see good governance, which is structuring. What we need to restructure is our mindset. If when we were fighting in 2001, 2002 for freedom of information bill, every one of us thought that when we get the freedom of information bill, Nigeria will be better. You can get information. Can you get any information from the local government chairman today?
All right, Dominic. Dominic, I got to let go of you now. We've completely run out of time, but thank you very much, and you did contribute your quota to the conversation. So it seems to me, gentlemen, that until Alhaji Atiku provides more information for us to see how he can do that which everybody has been pondering on the doability of, we just have to leave it where it is. It seemed that Vice President Oshibajo seemed to be indicating, without saying the word, that this was no more than politicking. Gentlemen, I know there's a lot more to say about this, but we've got to let go of the subject now. We've completely run out of time. But I think...
Passing short.
Okay, yes, just maybe 30 seconds, which now means I have to give him 30 seconds too.
Yes. Can we have a referendum to determine what we want in this country?
That's a conquer. That's a conquer.
I just align, with him,
If we're sincere, let's have the referendum.
Because I said
the Nigerians want restructuring.
The power to restructure does not lie, with any individual. It lies with the Nigerian people.
So, one question referendum. Do you want restructuring?
As a person, I want it.
No, that is. Yes. I'm just saying. Yes, sub questions today. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Ademola Digoke and Fasi Yusuf. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the program.
Thanks so much.
Okay, and thank you for sharing your perspectives with us. So that's our program today. Please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I'm Yori Folani. Bye-bye for now.